Hello everyone, my name is Shara and I founded Cancer Care Parcel. Before we start, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of Cancer Care Parcel and our talk today. So I founded the company 7 years ago after my breast cancer diagnosis, and I also had lymph nodes removed, which is relevant to today's meeting. I'm very excited about today's meeting, which I'll get onto later. Initially, I started the site to help people understand how to support people with cancer, providing resources and articles for the cancer community, but it's grown and the majority of people on our site actually have cancer. So we've expanded to have a free membership and these free events, although we do charge, the majority of people don't pay. Although we're a limited company, we do operate like a charity. We use our small income to produce all the resources, and we actually run at a loss. So if you want to buy anything like a little mug or support us, or just let people know about us, it would really help spread the word, would be great. So about today's speaker, today we've got Kirsty Wales, whose expertise focuses mainly on cancer and lymphedema related therapies. She's a qualified oncology massage therapist, a scar work therapist, and breast cancer scar work specialist therapist. She's also a certified manual lymphatic drainage specialist. Her passion lies in specialized massage therapies to help people during and after cancer treatments, aiming to maximize their health and well-being. Kirsty strives to reduce recovery times and improve overall health while managing her clients' anxiety and stress levels. She's going to be talking about how to improve our vitality today, with a focus on the lymph. And I think that's all I have to say about Kirsty. As I say, I'm very much looking forward to this because I don't know very much about the lymph, and I think we've all got a lot to learn. So over to you, Kirsty.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Please forgive me if I make any IT technical errors, but hopefully you can see that I've shared my screen. It says boost your vitality, and there's a little bit of text and a picture of that's my morning view when I take my dogs out. So it's not a bad way to start my day. So yes, Shara's made a fantastic introduction, and I work with people during cancer and after cancer when they're going through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and beyond. I work with people after they've had surgeries, which is where the lymph node removal maybe comes in, also on the healing of the scars and reducing the impact of the scars. And the lymphatic health is a massive part of both of those areas. So it all comes together. If you've got any questions, do put them in the chat. Shara is going to monitor them for me, and I will answer whatever I possibly can. If I don't know the answer, I will find out and come back to you. Okay. And no question is a stupid question. Feel free to ask anything that's relevant to tonight's topic. So let's have a little look. Lymphatic health. Why is it so important? I am passionate about lymphatic health. It is often overlooked, overworked, and an underrated system in the body. Its importance cannot be stressed. Fortunately, the medical profession is coming on board now that it is important, and we do need to support it and look after it. So that is a huge plus in my book, that they're starting to consider it. One thing about the lymphatic system is it is not a pressurized system. Unlike other systems in the body, like the blood supply, where it's under pressure and pumped around the body, the lymphatic system needs your movement to help move the lymph fluid around the body. So this is where things that we're going to talk about as the slides go on will make much more sense. So it's essential for overall health well-being. It supports the immune system, which when you're going through a tough time, your immune system is working really hard. We want to try and boost that as much as we can. It plays a role in recycling and removing the waste products from the body. It combats infections, bacteria, and pathogens. So it's your soldiers and your SAS. Just a little bit about the anatomy. On this diagram, you'll be able to see lots of green lines and then little bobbles on it. and they are the nodes. So if you have had, let's say, breast cancer, and you've maybe had some nodes removed from under your armpit, this is where they would have been taking them from. And there's estimations of how many nodes. We don't actually have the correct number, but it's anywhere between 400 and 800 in the body. And everyone will have slightly different numbers. Some of them are quite close to the surface of the skin. Some of them are much deeper and hidden away and more difficult to access. But they are really, really important. They filter everything, and they're a bit like a wheelie bin. Okay, it's all part of the whole recycling process. And you find them clustered around the joints. So that's why there's quite a few under the armpit, in the groin, in the elbow, and behind the knee. That's the main sites. But you can see that they're quite densely populated around the body. Now, what do you see? Hopefully, you see a beautiful river flowing quite quickly through the rocks. You know, if you look closely, you can see the rocks underneath. You can make the definition of the stones and the pebbles. There'll be lots of wildlife living in there. The sides of the river look really healthy, and it's just fresh and full of vitality. And this is really what we want your lymphatic system to be flowing and functioning like. It is your inner river of health, and it should be free flowing, not too sluggish, and it should be clearer liquid that's running through it. And you can just imagine walking along there and feeling, you know, really quite good. If I put up this slide, however, it's very different. Okay, we've got debris on the surface. We cannot see through the water into the bottom of the river. There's trees fallen in it. There's debris, there's sludge. And even as you look at it, you just think, ugh, you know, and that's the differences between optimum function of a lymphatic system and one that's struggling, needing a bit of TLC, needing a bit of help. They're really the differences that we're looking at. Does that kind of make sense so far? You know, other signs that we'll have of sluggish lymph systems: recurring coughs, colds, and illness. So you might get a cough, get rid of it, and then a couple of weeks later it starts to come back again, or a cold. Headaches, bloating. That's one of the things that people come to me with quite a lot of the time. Heavy limbs, aching limbs, restless leg syndrome, that can also be tied in with this. Fatigue, just generally feeling rubbish and just, everything is hard. And when you're going through a tough time anyway, all these little things make it even more difficult for you and just take more effort out of your body and out of your day. So the list goes on. There's lots of things, and I'm sure you'd be able to add some of your own to it. But these are the main things that we do see. Bloating, right? You just feel full and heavy, and that creates a bit of a negative cycle where we then start going into, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. It's too difficult today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes along and you can actually feel a little bit more sluggish. And then the next day. So, you know, don't ignore these symptoms. And we are going to talk a little bit later about things that you can do to combat them. That's my whole point of this, is to give you self-care that you can do for yourself when you need to. So this is your sluggish system, just feeling bleh. You may have areas of swelling. You can see on this photo that one hand is much more puffy than the other one, and you may have that in any of your limbs. Could be your ankles. By the end of the day, they're starting to feel achy, heavier, puffier. You might take, if you've got socks on, you might take your socks off, and there's more of an indentation around your leg where the elastic's been. And these are all things that your lymph system is just struggling a little bit. and needs a bit of extra help. So then, this is the good stuff, right? How are you going to invest in your health? What are the things that I can suggest that you can do to help yourself to improve these things? And if your lymph system is feeling more energized, taking less energy from your daily life, you're going to feel better. Your skin's going to look better. Your hair's going to be better. Nails will grow. You know, all those things all come into this as well. You might say, well, my feet are fine in the morning, but by the time I get to the end of the day, they're much more puffy. Any of you that have done long haul flights and you take your shoes off, or maybe just undo that waistband a wee bit while you're sitting down, then you get to the end of your flight and you try and put them back on, or do that waistband back up again and it feels a bit tighter. This is all your lymph system, okay? So what are we going to do about it? One thing I want you to really understand is that the road to health doesn't have to be hard. You're having, you know, if you're going through cancer at the moment, you're having a tough time as it is. And I'm not here to add to that. I'm here to try and support you by giving you ideas that you can fit into your day when it suits you, when you need it. All right. So the first one is all about nutrition. Right? There's a lot that you can do to help your lymphatic system and to boost your immune system. And generally, when you're going, if you're going through chemotherapy, we need to boost your immune system because it works with your white blood cells. You know, you have regular blood tests and they'll do your blood counts and they say, oh, you can't have your treatment this week because your blood cells are too low. These are things that you might be able to do that might help you along. Okay. Some of it is common sense. Some of it you might, you know, may have been forgotten or not even thought about. But nutrition really does have a key role to play. So what I suggest is if you want to address anything in your nutrition, make small, realistic changes and let them become a habit before you try and change something else. If you try and change lots of things all at once, it just becomes such a big goal and then becomes onerous and a chore. And none of this should be a chore. So just if this is just one thing that you want to change, then make that change and make it suit you. So simple things. We all know we should be eating foods that are closest to their natural form. So if you're going to eat chicken or fish, then eat chicken breast, eat a fish fillet, rather than something that's been processed and reformed into like fish fingers, unless you're going to make your own. Or chicken nuggets and things. I'm going to extremes here, but just to try and explain it. So if it looks like a potato, then eat it. If it doesn't look like a potato, it's probably not the best choice that you can make. And that's what it's all about. It's using and eating the best quality foods that fit in with your lifestyle and your budget, because everybody is different these days. And I am not the food police, I'm just giving you suggestions and things that in my experience have made a difference to people's health and help them get through whatever situation they're going through at the moment. So eat a rainbow of colors, as many different colored foods on your plate, in your bowl every day, because different colors have different vitamins and minerals in them. And the wider the range of colors that you eat, the wider the range of vitamins and nutrients that you'll get into your body. So reds, you've got beetroots, you've got radishes, you've got tomatoes, in the fruit, you've got strawberries, raspberries, carrots, oranges, then you go into your greens with your lettuces, your peas, and don't rule out frozen fruit and vegetables or tinned fruit and vegetables, because a lot of the time, when you think about from being harvested to being on our plate, when they're picked, tinned, frozen, right at the time of picking. Now, if you think about, especially when we eat things out of season, where's that food come from? It's come from somewhere, probably the southern hemisphere. If we're eating it in winter, it's not native, not natural for us to be growing it at that time of year. So it's maybe come from Australia, New Zealand, which is great that we can still have access to it, but it's been harvested, packaged, delivered to airport or the seaport. It's traveled by air or freight. It's got to this country. It's then gone through customs. It's gone to a warehouse. It's then been transported to various different supermarkets where they then process it, you know, by taking it off lorries, storing it, getting it out onto the shelf. How many days has it sat in that box before you pick it up as a fresh piece of fruit or vegetables? You know, it could be a couple of weeks. Whereas if it's in a tin or a frozen packet, that might actually be a fresher option and will have more nutrients in it and more goodness than some of what we consider to be fresh. So it's just something to think about. And especially if you're having a rubbish day, but you want to eat some healthy food, if you've got it in the tin in a cupboard or you've got it in the freezer and you can just pour out some peas and have those, then that's going to be a better option for nutrient value and keeping you healthy and boosting your immune system. So it's just another way to look at things. So your rainbow of colours is really important. Use the best quality foods that you can. Now, this bottom one, sit down, slow down, and chew your food. Right? The more you chew your food in your mouth before you swallow it, the more it is broken down and partially digested, the easier it is for the stomach to then continue that breakdown process. But more importantly, for your digestive system to be able to take the nutrients out of that food and actually use it. And it will go through your digestive system slightly more slowly. So that can help with reducing digestive issues, you know, IBS. Certainly, if you're suffering with constipation, you need to look at your fiber. And again, that needs to be chewed quite a lot in the mouth before it goes down into the stomach to be broken down. And we should make it. We've got into such a habit of being busy, eating on the go, grabbing something. And, you know, we should be trying to make this more of an enjoyable time, make time for food. And it's difficult when you're going through your cancer, your chemo treatments, your tastes change, your smell changes, you know, things that you've always loved to eat. Now, sometimes they can be the worst thing on the world for you and you just don't like them. So experiment, find out what suits you, and especially at that particular time, because what you like this week, you might find next week you don't like it. That's fine. That's absolutely okay, because there are so many different choices of things that you can go and try. But it's just having that sort of open mind that, yeah, I don't like that anymore. I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to try this. Yes, this is working at the moment. I'm going to stick with this. And then there will be other changes. So just try and maximize your nutrition by bearing those things in mind when you're doing your food planning, and plan ahead if you can. Right, it's a very bumpy road when you're going through treatment and when you've come out of it, when you're recovering and you're trying to get your strength back. You know, be prepared to change things, try things. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, then try something else. Like, you need to keep, you know, your protein up so that repairs the muscles and the tissues in the body. You need your vitamins and your minerals because they are a key part of that as well. So the things, I don't like negative slides, but this is the only one really. Try and reduce or limit the amount of processed foods that you intake. And that includes things like ham and bacon, or to an extent, certain ready meals, because they've got so many additives in there that are not the best choices for you. Sugar and salt intake, they have an inflammatory effect on the body. An inflammatory effect is bloating, joint aches and pains, obviously weight gain, A high salt intake will affect your blood pressure. So when you've got everything else going on, you really don't want to have high blood pressure as well. And obviously, alcohol is not your best friend when you're going through that situation. But it is fine to have them in moderation. You know, if you really, really want to fancy something, or it's a birthday, or, you know, there's a special occasion, then just have a little bit. You know, we're not here to say you can't have this, and try not to have that mindset. If you think, right, well, I can't have any of that, because the moment you do that, your brain plays tricks on you and says, oh, I want that. You know, if somebody says to me, you're not allowed chocolate, I'm like, oh, I want chocolate, and I want it now, and I want more than I normally would do, because you've said I can't. So have little amounts, absolutely fine, but just be aware that they're not the best choices. Try and make most of your diet your best choices, and then you can have your little less healthy choices later on. But sugar, there's a really interesting book called Pure, White and Deadly, and it's all about sugar. It was written quite a few years ago now, but it tells all the history of it and what it does to us and things. And it's really, really quite interesting. As I say, salt makes your blood thicker. So a bit like the river at the beginning, it doesn't flow as easily around your body, which is why it puts your blood pressure up, because your heart has to pump harder to pump the blood around the body. It's sticky, it's thicker, the viscosity of it changes. So that's why they don't like you to have too much salt. And the thing with processed foods, there are 3 main ingredients that give food taste, and that is salt, sugar, and fat. And what the manufacturers do is they will manipulate those ingredients. So if they say this is a low sugar product, the chances are that either the salt or the fat will be higher to compensate it. If we took all 3 of those ingredients out of every product, it would be like eating cardboard, because it would just have no flavor whatsoever and nobody would eat it. So they manipulate these things, and that's why they've brought in food labels with the traffic light system and reds and greens, and this is high in that and low in that, to try and help us. If you do want to look at food labels, the very first ingredient on a food label, that is the most amount that's in that product. The ingredients get less and less and less as the ingredients are listed. So just have a little look at that. But water. This is the next thing that your lymphatic system relies on and absolutely adores. You know, it is a river of health, mainly made up of water. So the more water you can give it during the day, the happier and healthier it's going to be. So water, it doesn't matter if it's from the tap, if it's from a bottle, if it's plain, if it's sparkling, the body doesn't mind. Right, it just appreciates having it. If you find water very bland, don't like the taste of it, make your own flavors up. You know, this one is cucumber, which is what I've actually got in here tonight, and it gives it a really nice flavor. But also the vitamins that are in cucumber are water dissoluble, so they dissolve into the water, and I'm actually getting extra benefit from drinking the water by taking in extra minerals. So it's a win-win. But you can get some fresh strawberries, orange, lemon, lime, black currants, whatever you want, cut them up, pop them in your water, and you'll get a double benefit, and you'll get natural flavoring. Some of the bottled waters that you buy, which are flavored, have additives in them or sugars, you know, and it's not the same as just putting fresh fruit in, and you can choose what you want. So make sure you are trying to give your body as much water as you possibly can. We talk, no, that's not the right one, talks about 2 litres a day. That's not a bad estimation, right? If you are in hotter weather, then you need to drink more water, because you will have lost more water during the day. You lose water through talking, breathing, sweating, going to the toilet. It all increases your water loss. So if you exercise, you need extra water to replenish those stores that you've used up. And it is a case of just getting used to it sometimes. You know, in the winter, some people prefer warm water, some people prefer freezing cold water. It doesn't matter. Just let your body have water if you can. Now, if you love your caffeine and you love your coffee, I'm not saying you can't have it. I'm just saying maybe if you have 4 cups a day, could you reduce it to 3 so you've got less caffeine going into the system and replace it with 1 cup of water? You know, just manipulate it. But water really, really is the body's preferred source of hydration. And headaches, there's research out there saying that dehydration is a major cause of headaches. So we should be grabbing a glass of water if we're feeling a headache come on, because the tissues shrink and they stick together. And that's what causes some of the sensations that we have when we have a headache. So we want that water to go back in and be able to slide between all the tissues and for everything to be in harmony again. So hydration, really quite an important factor in your lymphatics. What else have we got? Right. Movement. Okay. Your lymphatic system loves it when you move, and it doesn't care whether it's a small movement or if it's a huge movement, because every time you move, the muscles move and they press on the lymphatic vessels that carry the lymph along to the wheelie bins. So it's helping to move stuff along and stop that being stagnant. So you want to be moving your body every day. Even a minimum of 10 minutes a day will make a difference. You know, even on your lowest day, when you really don't want to do anything, get yourself out of bed if you can, and it's safe to do so. Have a little wander around the house, have a sit down, have another wander. If you can do 10 minutes, your lymphatic health will be much improved. If you can get outdoors, that's even better, because you're going to get sunlight, you're going to get vitamin D. And again, that's another good ingredient for your lymphatic health and your immune system. So any type of movement. And if you go to the gym, that's fine. You just go out for a walk. Amy, you said you've got dogs, you know, you're going out, you're playing with the puppies. That's all movement. And that's what counts. You don't have to be having a gym membership, having expensive equipment or clothing. You know, it's just move your body. And we're going to do a breathing exercise in a minute, which helps to emphasize that. Along with movement, we've got stretching. Okay. Animals do it naturally. Our body tells us when we want to stretch. You know, if you've been sitting at the desk like Shara today, she's been sitting at her desk all day, frazzled in the heat. I bet during the day at some point she's got, oh, and she's had a lovely big stretch. Okay. Just by doing that, that has woken up my lymphatic system and got, oi, movement, something's happening. Yes, fantastic, Amy. Brilliant. All right. That is enough. Because the main lymphatic ducts run down the center of the chest, and just by moving my shoulders, opening my chest, or taking my arms up, stretching my rib cage, I've activated that lymphatic, and it's gone, yep, I'm ready. What's going to happen next? And it will then start to move those fluids again, and work a little bit with suction by bringing the fluids in. It sort of goes, draws them into the wheelie bins. So whether you're sitting at your desk, you're watching television, you're lying in your bed, doesn't matter. You know, you could have a sneaky stretch when you're in the queue at Tesco's, just sort of move your arms around. You could do a structured stretching class. That counts. You know, it could be spontaneous, but just think about it and consider that's going to help my lymphatic system to wake up and activate and work. Okay, which is what we want it to do. So when you look at dogs and cats especially, they've been asleep, all curled up, they get up and they stretch right up through their back. That's why it's called a cat stretch if you do any Pilates and yoga. And the dogs, they go down on their front legs, bend through their back. It's all stretching. It's waking up their system, and it's activating not only their lymph system, but their muscles as well. So we should learn from them, and we should do it more when we feel like it, because our body's telling us to. Now, the interesting stuff, home care. These are things you can do at home whenever you want to. Dry brushing. You get a little round brush like that one, or with a handle, and it's got bristles along here. This one's got knobbles on it, which I'm not that keen on because they're not actually that comfortable. But it does have some give. Where am I? I'll get my camera right. You can see that they do go down a bit, but I just use this side, and this is what dry brushing is about. So the lymph fluid sits just underneath the surface of the skin. It's not deep down in the muscles, so it doesn't need a lot of pressure to move it. Okay. What's dry brushing going to do for us? It's not scrubbing. Okay. Don't think you've got to go like that. All right, because you will miss the lymph fluid predominantly. It's best to do it when your skin is dry before you go in the shower, and always start at the top of the limb. So if I'm going to do an arm, I'll start up here. If I'm going to do my legs, I'll start up by my hip and my groin. And the reason for that is we're going to move any fluid that's here, we're going to move it up so that as we go further down the limb, there's somewhere for that fluid to go to. If I start at the bottom at my wrist, I might get a traffic jam, a lymph jam. Okay. We need this to be open so that it can flow. So if you find, if you've had nodes removed and you've got lymphedema, or you've got a little bit of swelling and it's in your arm, easiest thing to do is to put your arm up. And that gravity helps to drain the fluids anyway. Then if you do your brushing, start at the top. You've got nodes. You think back to the anatomy picture. You can go back and look at these slides at any time, because I believe they're going to be on the YouTube channel, Shara. So you can go back and watch this as much as you like. The nodes are, there's quite a few in here by the collarbone. So if you've got your arm up, it's going to help drain it into that region. Now, lymph makes up its mind which wheelie bin it goes to. I can't say to you, if you do this, it's definitely going to go into this wheelie bin, the subclavian one. It might go down the back and into other wheelie bins because they're all over the front and the back of the body. But I digress. Arm up, brush, and it can just be a little flick, or you can do a slightly longer stroke, and then work your way down all the way around the limb, all sides of it, front, back, top. And when you're doing it, it's a gentle brush upwards. You're not looking to change the color of the skin, drag the skin, move the skin. It's just like if you've got you're sweeping a floor and you're just giving it a quick flick. Okay, doesn't have to take long. Build it into your daily routine, especially if you are compromised with your lymphatic system. You've maybe had nodes removed, or you've been diagnosed with lymphedema. And this also helps with lipedema as well, which is a slightly different condition. Build it into your routine. It should be as natural as cleaning your teeth. Before you have your shower, quick flick, get in the shower, off you go. If you only have an issue with one arm, then just do the one arm. If you haven't got time, you're not interested in doing anywhere else in your body, doesn't matter. Just work with that compromised area, and that will still help. But if you do both arms, both legs, and a bit through the middle, that's going to help even more. And I always say to people, something, no matter how small, is better than nothing. And I appreciate it's tiring. When you are tired, you've had your chemo, you feel rotten, it's tiring putting your arm up. So if there's anywhere that you can rest it on and do it, fantastic. And if you miss a day, it doesn't matter. You can do it the next day. But if the more you do it, the more benefits you'll get from it, basically. Okay. So that's the dry brushing. Now, what have we got next? You might have seen these jade rollers and gouchard. Okay. And the gouchard is the little kind of heart-shaped stone in the middle. Again, be gentle. This one has, it's got a larger, where's my camera? A larger roller at the top and a smaller one, it's just fallen off, smaller one at the bottom. Okay. And what you can do with these I tend to keep just for the face because they're really the right sort of size. You want to think about working from the middle outwards. Okay, going that way. When it comes to your neck, you can go downwards because, as I've already said, there's lots of nodes here and we're trying to get that fluid to go down into that node. In this sort of weather, when it's really warm, if you keep it in the fridge, because it's jade, so it's like a stone, it's really quite soothing and cooling. Because when you take it out, your skin's hot and you've got something that's quite cool. So what I would do is I just place it on my skin and just slide it out to the side. My clients love this when I do this with them. Out that way, out that way. And what I tend to do is I tend to hold the skin and then roll outwards that way and that way. And the same on this side. And then when I get to the jaw, I go follow the jawline, a bit like a man would when they're shaving. Follow the jawline underneath and then down. The only thing you want to avoid is doing this. Okay, it's not a case of scrubbing it, or do you remember when we used to cover books with double-sided plastic stuff and you used to work the air bubbles out? Okay, we're not trying to do that. We want that fluid to flow in one direction. We don't want to bring it back up again. And if we go down and then up, you're going to move that fluid back to where you've just moved it from. Okay, so either go outwards or downwards, that's absolutely fine, and then follow along. And because this has got a smaller one on the end, it's quite handy when it comes, this is not pretty for you, but it gives you an idea. You can go over your eyebrow and you can get underneath your eye, just where it's quite baggy on me, but that's something I have to live with. But it does help to move all that fluid out. The stone, which is this kind of shape, again, hold your skin because you're not dragging the skin. We don't want to damage it. We just want to move that fluid that's sitting underneath. Again, just place that stone on there and slide it out. And you are just moving it. And the same under here. You can come all the way down, nice and gentle, under the jawline. Follow the line of your skin, of your neck. And if you want to, because this one has like a heart shape, some people like to put it actually on their eyebrow, on the bone, and slide it across. Again, I prefer to hold the skin and slide it over, but that's not always comfortable for everybody. But they're really good for moving facial lymph, gives you a glow, moves those waste products that make you that lose the glow, vitalizes, energizes, and gets rid of puffy looking, bloating, and moves those products into the lymphatic system so that they can be recycled and got rid of. So just remember that you're not scrubbing backwards and forwards, and you are not changing the color of the skin. You know, when you press on the skin and then you take your fingers off and it's white, pink again. If you get that effect, it's too much pressure. And even what Shara is doing now still does the same job. If you think about your moisturizer in the morning, you put it on and you sweep it out to the side. You know, you can, and you sort of do little circles to rub it in, and you might do that kind of stuff. But it's still a form of facial lymphatic drainage, and it all helps. So yeah, give it a go, see how you get on. You can get these products on Amazon. You might find them on the high street in some of the chemists, other online outlets. I don't know, it's maybe something Shara she might be able to get a good deal on them and have them on the website at a decent cost. They're not mega expensive. They are stone. They are a solid material, but you do get all sorts. I don't like the knobbly ones. You might find some rollers which have got knobbles. I just find they're too aggressive and they're too uncomfortable. Whereas that's really nice and smooth and cooling, and you can take your time doing it. And you could sit there, you know, in your armchair and do it. You don't have to be in the bathroom to do that, or you could just do it with your fingers, but it will help improve that appearance and get rid of the lymph. There we are. I don't know that I look that serene when I do it. I wish I did and I had less wrinkles like she has, but hey ho. Wrinkles are good because not everybody gets them. Now, heavy, swollen legs. People come in and say, oh, my legs feel so heavy. I'm getting out of bed. This, as long as you don't have any back issues, is a really good way to drain that lymph from your feet and your ankles and down your legs. Gravity is helping to make that flow down towards the groin nodes, towards the knee nodes. And it's actually quite relaxing. Make sure your back is supported. Don't do this if you have any back issues. Obviously, be sensible about it. But any kind of elevation where you can get your feet higher than your hips will help to drain excess fluid and puffiness. And that goes for lymphedema, post-surgery, post-injury. Elevation, like we did with the arm, helps with drainage. Okay. Alternatively, elevate your legs. If you put a wedge between the base of your bed and the mattress, that creates good elevation overnight and is more comfortable sometimes than just putting a pillow at the end of the bed to raise your feet up, because then you turn over, you get tangled up in the bed, you end up with a pillowcase on your foot in the morning and you think, how the heck did that get there? If you think about raising the mattress instead, it's much more stable. So that's something that you might want to consider. Good. Breathing. Right. This is, obviously we do it all the time. We do it naturally. And I've already said that this activates your lymphatic system just by taking a deep breath, with or without the stretch. And when I'm in clinic, I do an exercise where I have my hands on the client's chest. As they breathe in, I put more downward pressure. As they breathe out, I release the pressure, and we do half a dozen breaths. And that is activating that main trunk of the lymphatic system again. Okay, so it's waking it up. It's preparing it for the treatment that I'm about to give. It's a good opportunity for the client to go, oh, and just relax. And for the whole body to take a pause and go, oh, yes, let's just have a little relaxation time. So what you can do, there are lots of breathing exercises out there. I've just picked two for today because one of them is more visual than the other. Do what you find most comfortable, but box breathing is you breathe and you breathe a box. So let's say you're going to breathe for 2 seconds. You're going to breathe in for 2 seconds along that line. You're going to breathe out for 2 seconds as you draw the down line. Breathe in for 2 seconds. Breathe out for 2 seconds, and actually visualize or do it. You know, you go 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but my speaking slowed down because I slowed down. My breathing was a little bit deeper, therefore I've taken more oxygen in. It's given my lymphatic system a warning that there's something going to happen and waken up and be ready, steady, go. And you can alter how long you want to do that for. You might want to breathe for 5 seconds on each side, 1 second, depends on your anxiety levels, depends on your respiration and the situation that you're in. You don't have to draw the box. You can just visualize it in your head if you want to. But it's a really good technique to have tucked away for when you are getting a bit stressed and a bit cheesed off with life. The other way you can do it is you can breathe in for 2 seconds and then breathe out for 4 seconds. I normally do this with a feather, and I've lost my feather. But as you breathe in, you'll see the feather, it has to be close enough so that your breath affects the feather. So when you breathe out, the feather flutters and moves away from you a little bit. When you breathe in, it comes back to sort of upright. So you're going to breathe in for 2 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds, and then breathe out 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And again, it's bringing more oxygen into the body, which is really important for all the other mechanics and processes that go on. It's good to slow down your breathing, slow down your heart rate, your blood pressure will come down, all the good things, just by taking a little bit of time out to do a bit of breathing, extra breathing exercise. And if you're in a stressful situation, it's something that you are in control of. You can decide when you do this. All of these things that I've talked about tonight are under your control. Very rarely are there any interventions from your medical team about what you can or can't eat. There may be 1 or 2 occasions during chemotherapy where they say that's not a good idea at this time, but next week will be okay. So, you may need to liaise with your care team as you go through this. But the breathing exercise, you can't get to sleep at night, try a breathing exercise. If you're getting, because maybe a partner is snoring and keeping you awake, or, your mind won't stop and you're just busy, slow your breathing down, do a breathing exercise. Or the other tip I was given is think about your feet. If you can't get to sleep, think about your feet, because they are the furthest point away from your brain and it distracts your brain and slows your brain down. So there's another little tip for you. Right, compression wear. Not just for people with lymphedema. Obviously the medicated, prescribed socks, stockings and sleeves, they are designed for lymphedema. But if you're finding that you're feeling a bit puffy, you want to help your lymphatic system, fitness clothing, which is the lycra with the elastic in it, that will help to move the lymph around your body during your day without you even thinking about it, because it has that little squeeze on it. And you can experiment with how much compression you want in your situation. Flight socks. Flight socks are really good for helping to move lymph fluid from the feet back up into the body. Because as we said about gravity, it collects in the bottom of our limbs, in our feet, and it needs some help to get it back up again. And especially if you're going through a tough time and you're not moving around as much as you would like to, pop some flight socks on and it will help with that pumping and that movement. And if you are, you might be in your bed for a couple of days, just try and move your feet, point your toes, circle your ankles, wiggle them about. That will help with the flow of lymph back up the body while you're more sedentary than you want to be. So consider what you wear. And if you are prescribed compression from the lymphedema clinic, make sure it fits properly. If it's too big, it won't do a job and it will wrinkle and it will slip down. And if you are struggling with foot or lower leg lymphedema, make sure that they give you socks which have got toes on. The ones in this photograph have got no toes, and what invariably happens is the fluid just then goes to the toes because they're not compressed. So yeah, and if it's too tight, they need to know that as well, because it's not comfortable, it's too hot, you won't wear it, and therefore it won't be helping you. So always talk to your team at the lymphedema clinic. Very quickly, lymphatic drainage is a hands-on technique that qualified therapists can offer. In itself, it's really, really relaxing, promotes well-being, encourages lymphatic drainage, improves your circulation, therefore your waste products are moved, and it supports you physically and mentally, because it gives you time off. It gives your body time to go, oh, because when you especially if you're going through your cancer, you've got all this stuff being thrown at you, and you can just go, no, this is my time, my body, my health. Thank you very much. Okay, but just make sure that they are qualified, they know what they're doing, and that it's okay with your care team. Sometimes you need to check in with them. It's a hands-on treatment. It's like we've already said, it's a very gentle treatment. It's just moving the skin, making sure that we can, as therapists, move it where we want it to go and assist it along its way. Main self-care tips from this evening are to stay hydrated, to move, make good food choices as much as you can, try the dry brushing, and if the day is really going badly, take a deep breath, take a second, and then start again. And that will help to clear everything. And they're all things that you're in control of. So if you want to know any more information about me, you'll find me all over social media. It's Kirsty Wales Massage Therapies. If you want to scan the code, then that will take you through to my contact page. If you are interested in newsletters, advice, you want to ask me anything, you can pop me an email at any time. I'm absolutely happy with that. I don't spam people because I don't have time to write spam. If I send out a newsletter, it's got something of value in there, either some advice, some tips, some self-care, or a money off voucher. So I didn't say, I live in the northeast of Scotland, so I'm at the other end of the country to Shara. I used to live in Sussex, and I relocated back up here a few years ago. So that's me. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found it of value. And if you've got some queries or anything, I will gladly answer them.
Thank you, Kirsty. There's loads of questions. Loads of questions. I actually tell people 1 hour, 6 to 7. If you don't mind, we'll go over. If people need to leave, that's fine, because it is going to be recorded. I think it's important to answer questions, because we don't know who, apart from people who've asked them, there are people listening. So let's start. I have a constant. So Louise says, I have a constant pain since breast surgery and node removal. Is the damage done reversible or treatable?
Yes.
And she carries on, actually. I've been ill for a year, no chemo, no radiotherapy, only grade 2 cancer, but my right arm has never recovered.
Okay. So I would find yourself a manual lymphatic drainage therapist in your area. There are a couple. I haven't got the websites with me. I should have sorted that out. I'll send them to Shara, and we can maybe put them on a link somewhere. Are reputable, good sources of lymphatic drainage. You could also find an oncology massage therapist or a scar work therapist, and they will be able to feel the tissues in the arm and give you some relief from the situation that you are in. So yeah, I don't say it's reversible, but you can improve the condition and reduce the pain that you're going through at the moment. One appointment will make a difference, but it would need to be a longer term treatment.
Okay. So Amy says, Amy says, I also have fibrosis and my mastectomy scar is hypertrophic under my armpit as a result. I've also got a seroma from lymph node removal, which has got worse since radiotherapy.
Okay.
So
again, find the right therapist. So scar work therapists will be able to help you with the scar, the fibrosis, the seroma. You need to go back to your care team. Are they managing it? Are they draining it? Does it need to be drained? Self-massage, you might be able to reduce some of it as well by moving it into the lymphatic system. Seroma is basically a pocket that has been left, something's been removed, and that fluid has moved in naturally and gradually and gone, oh, this is a nice place to live. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to invite my mates over. And this is a really good place for us to be. So sometimes it has to be physically drained. Sometimes you can just self-massage. And rather like we said about this, just move it gradually, depending where it is. If it's in around here, you could try and move it up towards the armpit. You could sweep it downwards, or you could sweep it across. It will decide which path it wants to take, but you might get some relief by doing that, Amy.
Okay. And Sally says, why do I get swollen? Why do I get swollen feet and ankles at the end of a long day? So you've mentioned that you can. Why does that happen?
Why?
Yeah.
Even for non-compromised people, it's gravity, because through the day everything drains downwards and it collects, which is why when you put your feet up at the end of the day, it all naturally drains back to where it came from. So if there's not a health reason, then it's probably gravity. And are you able to move more during the day to stop it collecting in the first place? So if you're an office-based person, you're sitting at a desk, move your feet during the day, march on the spot, wiggle your toes, circle your ankles. But ideally, we should be getting up and leaving the desk every hour. Just go and have a quick walk around the office or wherever you're based, and then come back again. But it's a lack of movement and gravity that generally causes more puffiness.
Okay. Thank you. I'm zipping through. I haven't asked Amy or the other people if they were satisfied. I'm just zipping through because of time. But Jane asks, good food can be expensive. I don't eat much protein, mostly fruit and veg. Is that good or bad?
It depends where you are. If you're in a cancer journey, if you're recovering from an operation, then you should be eating a little bit more protein in order to help build the tissues back up again. And protein, yeah, if you've been through treatment, protein is a good thing to have. So just choose your favorite source of protein, whether that's plant-based or animal-based, and seek advice from a nutritionalist. The gut health lady that was on here, was she on in July, Emma?
Yes.
Something in her webinar about it.
She did. She was very informative. Although it was a gut health talk, there was a lot of stuff about what you should eat and why, and it was related to gut. But I do recommend that you watch that. It's on our website, the recording. So, yeah. Is there any advice? Amy asked, is there any advice for balancing estrogen naturally, as I'm struggling to tolerate hormone blockers? Yes, I was on hormone blockers.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. You need to talk to your care team about it, and see what they come up with. I can't suggest something that that's, as I said, it's a little bit beyond my scope. I'm not the best person to speak to, so I would go to the care team and seek advice about it from.
I would say also, because I had breast cancer 10 years ago. I was diagnosed and I was on tamoxifen and anastrozole, and now I can't have HRT because it's estrogen. And I have found that the advice is conflicting. Different gynecologists will say, well, my breast surgeon will say something different from my gynecologist, and the gynecologist will say there's new evidence that you can have phytoestrogens that will help, which may also help balance estrogen naturally, whereas my breast surgeon will say absolutely not, you don't want to have anything that mimics. So I think it's not an easy answer anyway, and it might be the sort of case that you have to pick your team member that you ask, your your oncologist and then just go with whatever they say, because it's not easy. But hopefully you're not going to be on I don't know what stage you are, but some people, I don't know, I can't talk about it, but it is definitely a difficult one.
I've got a very good colleague up here who I can refer people to. She has a nursing background, and she is very informed about things like this, and she can make suggestions. But it's a minefield, and everybody is different, and it will change month to month as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, sorry about that one, Amy. I can't
Yeah.
give you a black and white answer on that.
Yeah.
Try your care
Um,
team, speak to different
yeah.
people, get as much information as you can. And if they are slightly negative about it, do your research, go back to them and have a conversation and keep having that conversation, because
And
research.
contact Amy to get her contact as well. So Amy is contactable. So Sally asks, what does lymph actually do, and why do I need to look after my lymph, and how is it affected by cancer treatment, assuming that there's no lymphedema?
Okay. Lymph is a fluid in the body. It's a white, yellowy kind of fluid. It carries the proteins around. It works closely with the blood supply to take nutrients from the blood supply. It carries fats as well as waste products. So it's carrying this all around the body, and that's its job. Its job to take it back to the recycling centres, which is your nodes, your wheelie bins. The nodes then filter out what they want, what can be used, what needs to go to other places, and also what needs to be excreted. So this is why it's important to look after it, because it's looking after your general health. It's linked in with your immune system as well, which is your white blood cells, and it gets a boost. You know, if you've got less rubbish in your system and more good healthy fluids, you're going to feel better. You're going to be more energized. Your overall well-being will be better. Your skin will glow. And when you're going through your cancer, it helps to get rid of that, the byproducts and the sluggishness. So even, as I say, just by doing that little stretch or a deep breath, that'll activate your lymph system. If you're feeling a bit low, give it a boost. So it is as important as the blood supply in the system.
I want to add to that. I'm an immunologist. I'm a doctor in immunology. I don't know what Kirsty knows about lymph at all, but I know about white blood cells. And it was drummed into us that lymph is just as important, if not more important, than the blood. And everybody knows about the blood. But it's also the place where your white blood cells will go to multiply. If you need your immune system, and they're going to be, you know, if you've got an infection, they will look at the infection and they'll go to lymph nodes and multiply. So it's I don't know why it's so underrated. Nobody knows much about lymph. I mean, I don't even know, and it's so
your soldiers and your SAS force that go out to combat all bacteria bits and pieces. So
it's really important. Yeah. So now Jane asks, why is coffee bad? Zoo asks, what about Swiss filtered coffee? And I do recall in that gut event that we had last month, there was the same question. That the lady who gave the talk said, if you're going to have decaf, have Swiss filtered decaf. So I think, what do you have to say on it, Kirsty? And also, is coffee bad?
Caffeine in general is still considered to be a diuretic, so it leaches fluid from your body. That is the majority of the research says that. It's a stimulant, and what else can we say about caffeine? It doesn't have a lot of nutrient value. Your body will process it and excrete it. Whereas if you can maybe just replace 1 cup a day with an extra glass of water, your lymph system will flow and you will be cleaner and feel fresher. And it's not as addictive as caffeine can be. I don't drink a lot of coffee these days. And I know, especially when I'm away from home, you grab a coffee in the airport because you're shattered and you've got to get on another flight and you've got to go and do a talk or whatever. If I have that coffee 2 or 3 times and then I don't have it, I start to get withdrawal symptoms. I start to get the headache, and I just think, oh, I'm craving coffee. So I don't get that problem with water. Coca-Cola, that's a caffeine, and the same thing applies. It's full of sugar. It might give you a boost short term, and it's fine. Have it in moderation, but just try not to have too much of it. And if Swiss decaf?
Apparently Swiss filtered decaf is good.
Okay, I don't know anything about that. I will go and look it up. But if Emma has said that is a good
That's what she's,
alternative,
yeah.
I would go with Emma because
Yeah.
she's the expert.
Well, she actually says coffee is good for the gut, but not too much as well. So what you're
Everything in
saying is a
moderation.
little bit, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
I'm not,
So sorry, okay, I'm just
I'm not going to say don't have it in the morning, you know,
yeah,
just have it in moderation. Yeah.
So Zoo asks, what are your views on having regular mild massage, and how often do I need to have them? I think MLD is mild, and then it's also how, and most importantly, how do you find a good is MLD? Oh, that's lymphatic draining matter. Sorry,
Manual lymphatic drainage, yeah.
manual
MLD.
lymphatic. Sorry. How
Yeah.
how do you find a good one?
I will send 2 links to Shara that she can share with you for associations, MLD UK, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. They have, what am I trying to say? They're only qualified to a certain level to be on that register. So you know that they're safe, they're insured, they're up to date and all that sort of stuff. So I'll send those links to Shara. One of them is definitely MLD UK. And how regularly, it depends if there's a problem. If I have somebody that's got lymphedema and they come to me, they'll have 3 or 4 sessions close together, week, 2 weeks apart. Then they go into a monthly maintenance program. And they come once a month and they have treatment. So it depends on your situation, how much swelling there is in the body, how long you've had it. Is there a lot of fibrosis? Because that makes it a little bit more complicated. But yeah, you can have them regularly, whether that's post-op or for lymphedema or just for a well-being. I do have some clients who have no cancer or any health issues, but they come once a month for a lymphatic drainage massage. Keep the system in tip-top condition.
Louise says this is good, so thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
Alison says, any advice on how to dry brush the torso?
There are hundreds and hundreds of nodes in the torso, so any direction that you go will be good. I would say if you're going sort of from the top of the breasts, go upwards. If you're going underneath, then you can go downwards and it will be absorbed into the abdominal cavity. And you can brush around the back as well if you want to. Don't forget your back. And it's exfoliating the dry skin at the same time, so it's getting rid of that and keeping your skin in tip-top condition. So yeah, go upwards and then underneath the breasts, go downwards. See how that goes. Yeah.
And on the face, do we need to moisturize before using the rollers?
I don't, but I do hold on to the skin so it's not dragging the skin, and I do that with clients as well. It makes the rollers a bit sticky, so yeah, it's better to just have clean, dry skin, do your rollering, then put your moisture on over the top. And I'm not sure, I think I read somewhere that it might actually be absorbed even more after you've done your lymphatic facial massage. So I would do it in that order: cleanse, roller, moisturize.
Okay. And is shapewear the same as fitness clothing? And is it safe to wear fitness clothing all the time?
Yes. Yes, it's safe to wear it. I live in compression leggings most of the time. Shapewear, I believe, has a similar effect. I'd have to go and do a little bit of research, but yeah, it will.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's not mega tight and you're not taking it off and going, oh, thank goodness for that, then
Yeah.
you know, it's got to be comfortable.
Just something that holds you in a little bit. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Joan says, I get cramp a lot, especially at night. Would fitness clothing help with this?
Possibly. Yeah. Or a massage. Lymphatic massage will help to clear out the muscles and soothe the tissues. So yes, I would try that.
And where does the lymph go if you're compressing?
Compressing, you're sending it along the motorways and highways of the lymphatic system off to its recycling points, rather than being that brown, horrible river that didn't really flow anywhere. The compression wear has a peristaltic effect. So when you're moving, and because of the elastic in the lycra and stuff, it creates almost like a pumping effect. So it's mimicking what I would do in a lymphatic massage. It's helping to move that fluid to any recycling point that it can get it to, rather than loose fitting clothing. And things like cycling shorts, I didn't even mention those. They're really good for lymphedema, especially in the legs and pelvic genital area. Cycling shorts are really good for that.
And Amy asks, how do I dry brush the lymph around my mastectomy scar?
Depends how sensitive your scar is. If you've got sensitivity issues, if it's hypersensitive, you just do the same thing. Just get your brush, or you could do it just with your fingers. Same thing. It's just a small, depends if your scar runs across that way. Some of them go that way, some of them go underneath, but just move. If it's the top part, move it up. If it's the bottom part, move it down. And you can just do it with your fingers if necessary. You know, I sometimes just do lymphatic drainage just with my fingertips like that. So you can work along anywhere around the area. Just try and go outside the scar to start with, so that that area is clear and somewhere for the fluid to flow to. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that very well. But message me if you get stuck, Amy, and I'll jump on a Zoom with you. No problem.
Thank you. A lot of thanks. People saying thanks. So yes, thank you. I'm sorry I did that very quickly. We're 18 minutes over what we should have been, which is really good. It just shows we've got lots of questions and lots of interest. So great. Yeah. Lots to think about. Lots. Especially how to fit in the massage. And you said it's only a few minutes, so yeah.
Yeah, it's not a long thing.
It's not long, but yeah.
I probably shouldn't divulge this, but I have seen me. No. Yes. You, as long as you've got clean hands, you know, you could be doing that while you were doing something else sitting down. But quickly, go for a wee.
Clean.
Quick, yes. You can do it a little bit. Multitasking, we're good at that. But yeah, it just has to fit into your day. And if you know you are going through cancer and you're having a rough time of it, and it's not the day to do it, then don't beat yourself up. You know, there's always another day. But any little thing that you can do will have a positive impact, and anything is better than nothing. So I hope everybody's found it useful. They've got something from it, and feel free to message me with anything else, and I will gladly answer.